All right, so here's the second part. Second part is the implicit differentiation of 3x plus 8xy minus 6. Now, the big deal is when you see this, when you take the derivative of y, you write dy dx. Every time you do it, you do dy dx. All right, so here's a y. It's 3y. Well, that's going to become 3 dy dx. Now, this piece right here, a lot of kids will forget that they have to do the product rule. That piece right there is the product rule. Is that the one where you cross the x-axis 4 times? I swear to you, there's 4 things crossing the x-axis. You're not seeing the whole picture there. Some of them lines are darker than the others, Devin. You're not seeing the whole picture on that one, just part of it. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, product rule on that one. So I'm going to let f of x be the 8x, and I'm going to let g of x be the y. I'm going to follow the product rule. So I'd have 8x taking the derivative of y, dy dx, plus y, derivative of 8x, times 8. All right, so plus 8x dy dx plus 8y. And then I have the derivative of minus 6, which is nothing. So still equal to nothing. And the next step is going to be to isolate dy dx. So just isolate that thing. I'm going to subtract 8y, and I'm going to factor. So dy dx is going to be, dy dx times 8x plus 3, because I'm factoring out, is equal to a negative 8y. And then I'm going to go through and I'm just going to divide out. So dy dx is a negative 8y sitting over 8x plus 3. Which I tried to write that in standard form, and the author of your book didn't, so it's choice A. So that was actually pretty easy, and y'all are scared of that. Don't be. It's actually really easy. The next one's probably a little harder. Gotta have at least one hard problem. Now here's the real question. It'd be nice if your author of your book would use parentheses more often. That is the argument of cosine. That is cosine's argument. When you do this function, you're going to probably have to think about the chain rule, because it's not a simple thing inside. More than that, it's chain rule combined with product rule. So it's actually got a whole bunch of things. I'm going to do this off to the side. So cosine xy, I'm going to take its derivative. The derivative of cosine is sine, so sine xy. But now I have to find this guy's derivative. Find the derivative of xy. And believe it or not, that's the product rule. It's going to be x dy dx plus y times 1. And that is actually getting multiplied on, so I've got to put it in the right spot for 1. It goes right there. X dy dx plus y. All right, so I finished the cosine part. Derivative of x to the 7th is going to be 7x to the 6th plus 7x to the 6th. The derivative of y to the 7th, 7y to the 6th, but you took the derivative of y, so you have to say it dy dx. So there's your first step. Your second step is just to isolate dy dx. And so I'm going to get everything with a dy dx on one side and everything else on the other, and just see where it goes. I'm going to move this entire piece to the right-hand side. So I'm going to have a 7x to the 6th on the left. On the right, 7y to the 6th dy dx. minus sine xy x dy dx is times x dy dx plus y. You're going to have to invoke the distributive property here. Anything you can do about it. Before you can pull this, let me think about this. You do not have to invoke the distributive property. This can be pulled as it's written. If you think about this all as one piece, it contains an x dy dx. And you can pull it. It ain't going to break anything. Or you can pull the dy dx piece out. So I'm going to pull that dy dx. 7x to the 6th equals dy dx. There's a 7y to the 6th remaining, minus sine of xy. Now I'm pulling the dy dx out. I'm just making sure I'm not breaking anything by doing this. The x remains plus a y. I don't think I broke anything. I really shouldn't have done that line. I was trying to do something ahead of time and I should not have done that. I do need to distribute this or I'm just not going to arrive at the right answer. So let me carry that down and distribute. So minus sine parentheses xy x dy dx minus sine xy y. All right, this will look better. It should be the right answer. And I probably could have gotten it up here, but I just wasn't seeing it in my head. So anyways, I'm going to add this to the other side. 7x to the 6th plus sine xy times y must equal 7y to the 6th dy dx minus sine xy x dy dx. Now here's where I can pull. 7x to the 6th plus sine xy y equals dy dx, parentheses, 7y to the 6th remains, minus x sines of xy. I just relocated the x because it belongs there. It just sounds better. And then I do my division step and I'll have this thing. So 7x to the 6th plus sine of xy times a y. They probably have the y in front of that. It would look better that way. Over 7y to the 6th minus x sines of xy. Looks to me like it's choice C. Hopefully that agrees with the key. Now, your quiz tomorrow is not near as long, and I will post it online for those of you that aren't here. And you'll have to be honest. If it ain't right, it ain't right. You know that by now. So good luck on it tomorrow. If you need me, I guess maybe email me, look me up on Facebook, whatever. I'll try to answer.